Hey, welcome into Queen City News Plus. Today we got Order in the Court with Queen City News anchor Brien Blakely.
And I'm Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes.
Khalif, always good to see you. As we got court is in session right now for Order in the Court. 3 topics today we're going to be talking about. One, it's something that's not talked about a lot, but instead of right to life, we're going to talk about right to die. That is going to be the third topic. And the second topic is going to talk about declassifying marijuana, what the implications are going forward. But first, we want to talk about Elon Musk is in court today with a lawsuit trial. Jury selection starts today against his chat GPT maker, OpenAI. And so this is a really big case because Sam Altman, CEO, executives there, they believe that he deceived Musk and betrayed OpenAI's original nonprofit mission when it evolved into a profit arm, for-profit arm. So let's talk about this case today and how we got to where we are right now.
Elon Musk gave them $44 million over a number of years with the expectation that it continued to be nonprofit. That's probably the easiest way to look at it. At some point, Elon Musk was there in the leadership, making determinations, making decisions, and then he gets kind of ousted and leaves. Once he leaves,
2018, right?
2018, then they make the determination to shift and go to this for-profit model. And it has been approved by the courts. This model wasn't something they did on their own. Why was it approved? Because it was going to get oversight by the foundation. So there were a number of things in place that would give it protections to still be with the root cause in the thought process of its orientation. But Elon Musk is saying, listen, that's not what we agreed to. That's not what I gave my original money to. You've turned this into this money-making scheme for profit gain. And because of that, I think you've misled me. I think you misled donors. And I believe that now this should be reverted back to a nonprofit status. And the money that I'm asking for, 130 plus billion in damages, not million, but billion, that he's saying, I don't even want a dime of that money. I want it all to be given to the nonprofit organization aspect that this company should have been.
Yeah, this is a personal grudge match, it seems like, here between Sam Altman, who a lot of people know, but maybe not so much outside of the tech world and the financial world, but Elon Musk, everybody knows about him. But this jury selection here, there's been questions about how this jury is going to be selected today. And going forward, this trial's supposed to last about 4 weeks. What's your take on that?
It ain't going to be easy. Let's start with there. Trying to find a jury of your peers in Silicon Valley, like you say, that folks were going to know him outside of him as Sam Altman. Folks outside of there won't recognize him with his face. But on the other side, you got Elon Musk right here on the screen. You could pick him out instantly, and probably every kid will know who he is because he's everywhere, from SpaceX to Tesla to he has his hand in so many things that, yeah, you're going from X, you'll find him, right? And so I think finding a jury of your peers that can be fair and impartial is going to be extremely hard. And the judge recognizes that, decides to bring in 3 panels that are 3 times the size of what they normally would, because he recognizes that these individuals are going to add some confusion to the jury selection process. But the judge isn't going to let that happen and without attempting to stop it. The question that will be asked is, okay, you may know these individuals, but can you be fair and impartial? And do you have any biases against these individuals? Okay, I do. Well, can you set those biases aside? And if the answer is yes, I can set those biases aside, the judge is going to keep them on the panel, in the juries. But if you can't, then the judge is going to do something to attempt to rehabilitate these individuals and say, look, well, if I direct you to be fair and impartial, and, walking them through the steps that the court is going to require, then it's going to be hard for a person, unless they have a truly, genuinely held bias against them that they can't set aside. And it's not something like, hey, I just got to go to work. Hey, I just don't like Elon because he blocked me on X or something. But it's a genuinely held belief that if I'm here, I cannot be fair and impartial. Yeah, it's probably going to be hard to pick a jury, but not impossible.
Well, talk to me about that a little bit. You've been in trial yourself, obviously, as a criminal defense attorney. And how do you go about saying, put yourself maybe in these type of shoes from either side? What do you want to see in picking a jury?
Well, both folks are going to want a couple different things. I think when I'm picking a jury, first I got to figure out, well, what am I trying to prove if I'm the prosecutor? And on the defense side, what am I trying to anticipate they're going to say about my client, and what issues does my client have? And so in this regard, looking at what Elon has to prove, he's going to say, well, was there an enforceable nonprofit commitment? And so, and was that commitment broken? So I'm going to be looking, if I'm Elon, for folks that are able to follow complex, negotiations that maybe have some nonprofit work in the past, that are able to understand what a nonprofit does and what impact they have on the community. On the other side, if I'm Sam Altman, I'm looking for folks that have some familiarity with OpenAI, recognize what it's like to transition from a nonprofit to a for-profit. Because on my side, I'm saying that, listen, there was no commitment to stay nonprofit, and if anything, Elon Musk knew. That's what Sam Altman is saying. That's what his team will have to be alleging, and that there was no binding promise. This was just an admission that could evolve. So also looking for higher educated people that can follow and track. And sometimes when you're in a jury, trying to find the perfect juror doesn't, always happen. It's not as easy as it looks on the movies, but it is a science to it. You're looking for people that fit and will listen and follow the narrative that you're trying to direct them to. And so sometimes if you recognize when picking a jury that, hey, this person ain't even paying attention while I'm talking, going to be hard for them to follow for 4 weeks when I'm asking questions to potential witnesses. And so those are small signs, but as you dig deeper, as you start asking these questions about who they are and what they've done, you're trying to pull out of them, is this person a thinker? Are they someone that will be easily pushed? Will they be someone that will listen to me? Will they listen to the other counsel? Will they listen to the judge's instructions? And you're doing all this in real time and with the assistance of other counsel to make sure you don't miss anything.
The other thing too here is there's a lot on the line, obviously for both individuals here, this whole thing. But Elon Musk is got what's the impact, the potential impact that this could have on Elon Musk going forward?
Well, Elon Musk, obviously, he has once he left OpenAI in 18, he started his own AI, XAI. So he has a vested interest in ensuring that OpenAI removes itself from the for-profit space and goes away so that XAI can be in that space and now fill the void that would be created with OpenAI leaving. And so there is a financial connection to this from Elon Musk, even though he says he wants none of the proceeds from the actual case. I talked about this before, that the things that happen in this courtroom won't have just a lasting effect scenario. It won't just be a dollar amount that's associated to this case. It will have impacts outside of there in the stock market. It will have impacts within the tech market, the tech world. And so this case will have a massive impact on Elon Musk and on Sam Altman. I mean, you have a IPO that's around the corner for OpenAI.
Hmm.
This case will impact that. So you ask about impact, it will impact everybody. And I'm talking about like crater size impact, not small.
Yeah, and also going to be testifying too. Obviously, it's going to be Sam Altman, could be Elon Musk, but also could be Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. So this is a who's who of billionaires that are going to be out there testifying, and everyone's going to be covering this case, not just in Silicon Valley.
It is definitely going to be the who's who, but I take it back to the original thing. When you get up in that jury box, you've made it to the panel, but then they put you into the box for asking selection questions. Everyone, I mean, unless you're under a rock, is going to have familiarity with the names that are going to pop up hearing. But now, can you set aside any connection, any association, any biases that you created about these people? I mean, because Elon Musk is extremely vocal. He's someone that doesn't shy away from saying what he wants. And so he may have made a post that offended you. But can you set that offense aside and still be fair and impartial? That part of the process, which is the most important part of the trial, is picking a jury that can listen, be open, and be fair.
We will keep following that for you when it comes to this trial involving OpenAI and Elon Musk and also CEO Sam Altman. The other topic we're going to talk about coming up after the break, reclassifying actually medical marijuana and the federal government, also the impacts of that going forward, and the legal implications of that as well. You're watching Queen City News Plus Live with Khalif and Brien. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Queen City News Plus with Khalif and Brien. Second topic of the day, we're going to be talking about, Khalif, and that is reclassifying medical marijuana. On April 23rd, a few days ago, Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche, she signed an order changing the federal classification of medical marijuana. That move, which came at the behest of President Trump, it's going to make medical marijuana now a Schedule III drug. It's going to bring enormous tax benefits for medical marijuana producers in 40 states. It's going to speed up a lot of the process on when it comes to reclassifying medical marijuana. Where do we go with legally this for the business standpoint and also for personal?
It's a couple of things. I mean, you hit it right on the head that President Trump's executive order signed December of 2025 said exactly this, that it required that medical marijuana and cannabis research be increased. And how do you increase it? Well, the first step is to remove this classification status as a class 1 drug and make it to a class 3 drug. So now you get an opportunity for medical research to not have these extra hurdles they would have to jump through. I mean, before it was on the same standard as some type of opioids and things like that, and attempting to do the research that was required and could be used for it just wasn't possible. So now, lowering that standard, it allows you to be able to get access to it on a lot easier basis. So for the medical research purpose, it's going to be great. Now, the issue that I would have with this process, or I should say, not the issue, but the timing. A lot of folks will say, "Well, what does this mean today, right? Am I able to start grabbing, or purchasing it or doing that?" And no, this isn't okay, now it's legalized on the federal level. No, this is just a reclassification standard. And so that order doesn't affect any legalization of cannabis. I want to make sure that portion is extremely
Right.
clear, because people see these types of things and like, hey, the government's now not criminalizing it. That's not what this says. It's primarily for research purposes, because it's placing both FDA-approved drug products and medically municipal marijuana products subject to the qualifying state-issued licensing, and that is the part that I think is probably the most immediate thing that folks will see. This shift from Schedule 3 to Schedule 1 is going, because even within marijuana itself, those 2 classifications of marijuana, just the FDA approved and the state legal medical, doesn't account for all other marijuana that wouldn't be covered under this executive order or FDA standard. And so that is probably the biggest issue that folks will have when looking at this. This is solely for medical purpose.
Medical purposes. So this happens if there's a research firm out there, there's a company that's out there, and they've already been charged with something.
Mm.
Can they go back and say legally, "Hey, look, we changed the rules on this. Does that pertain to me in any way?"
Yeah, I'd say the answer is no. Most laws are not going to be retroactive unless the language inside of any type of law, guidance, or rule would be retroactive. It would say something like that. But you'd have to go back. First of all, a person or a company that would have some type of charge connected to having medical marijuana would have been brought probably on the state level, or on the federal level, depending on the severity, and the amount that they've had. And so I would say that first, that it would be no retroactive aspect. Second, this isn't even the final order yet. Yeah, they've issuing this thing saying that, but there still needs to be a hearing and an opportunity for folks to be heard on this topic.
Okay. So, in businesses going forward, they can go ahead and continue or ramp up if they want to do that. And the laws differ really because it comes down to the states too, in as far as with North Carolina and South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, folks will definitely be able to, if they're in that space. And I got to be clear, if you're not in the space of medical marijuana, if you're not using FDA approved or state issued and approved medically licensed marijuana, this doesn't apply to you. So this is fast track full rescheduling, and that will begin not today, but it says immediately, and that's the part that I want to make sure I'm looking at. It says a new DEA hearing starts June. So even though this is going out and to become effective, this hearing still has to take place.
All right. Yeah, we're seeing certainly a lot of shifts with that. Another
Well, I
subject.
mean, it's a core policy shift. Let's be clear on that. Other administrations haven't wanted to touch this. The Trump administration has talked about it for a number of times. President Trump was clear in December that this is something that was a priority. Go ahead and make it change because now businesses, companies, research industry can get a jump on doing the much needed research that folks have been asking to be done for years.
All right, good deal. That'll wrap it up for our second segment there, Khalif. Coming up, we're going to be talking about something else. Dying with dignity, assisted dying here. It's something you don't really normally talk about,
Mm-mm.
but it is being talked about in several states, and we'll talk about that on Queen City News Plus and Order in the Court when we come back. Welcome back to Order in the Court with Khalif and Brien, as we're going to be talking about our last segment today. And it's something that's normally not talked about, really, but it is considered when you have someone who has been in a lot of pain, they have a terminal diagnosis that's assisted dying, or it's called medical aid in dying, dying with dignity. It's legally for mentally competent adults in 13 U.S. states and
Mhm.
Washington, D.C., and a number of other states. North Carolina is considering this legislation of something like this, not really in South Carolina. But discuss that a little bit of about the legalities with someone who is really suffering, and then instead of a right to life, they want to have a right to die.
Yeah, this is not euthanasia, so that's the first thing that people think about, like Dr. Kevorkian, like assisting people to die. This is that's not the same as this, and as you mentioned, it's legalized in 14 jurisdictions: California, Colorado, Delaware, DC, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington. Montana has pending court legislation going back and forth about that now. North Carolina does have some things on the books where they're attempting to get something like this passed. House Bill 410, a bill that directs North Carolina. This is the key part. Directs North Carolina Institute of Medicine to conduct comprehensive study on medical aid in dying. So not something that would pass there to say, okay, now once that's passed, you can do it in our state. This is saying if this bill passes, it will allow research to be conducted to see if this is something that would help individuals in our state, different than some of these other states that have already passed it. Oregon was the first to pass it in 1997, but you've had a number of states looking for things like this.
Yeah, and we've had the states that are talking about it is providing a legal option for a peaceful death. Laws they would require like a 6-month prognosis, self-administration of
Yep,
a medication.
yep.
This requires it further along with the research. But we all probably in our sphere or somewhere along our lives have seen someone that's really suffered in their last years. Whether it's I have a family member who has tremendous neck pain right now.
Yep.
It's just can't deal with it. Someone who has a terminal diagnosis. Well, I'd rather not go through the end of the life of those type of things. Uh, but it does provide the option of whether you want to do that. But it's still a very, very painful decision because you think about that because we have this with animals. You can
Mhm,
do that with animals.
mhm, mhm.
Assisted euthanasia, when you know that their time is done. But this is a lot different to that. But it's certainly something that is being considered more and more now.
It's definitely being considered more and more, but I start with a couple of things. Is that palliative care treatment that's there already, that ensuring that the last months, the last days, the last weeks of a person that has a terminal illness are ones that their pain is diminished, right? You're giving them things that won't cure, that won't heal, but will ensure that that process is there and is a slower, process where they can enjoy their last few days, and so this works on that thought process, and it's ironic that we just covered the medical marijuana process when we talk about palliative care, because a lot of individuals that are going through that state where they are with chronic pain that's not treatable would connect to the medical marijuana research, that would be used to assist them as well. I just think there are states out there that are probably not right now ready in their general assemblies to entertain the actual implementation of this in their states. I mean, if you're looking at the ones that I read, most of these are going to be either out on the West Coast or northeastern states. There isn't any state in the South, North Carolina being probably the only state that's on this list that has even remotely entertained that type of thing. I mean, and it's just I'm not sure we're here yet in the South for that type of legislation to pass. And so I think it will be a state by state thing as you see it. It won't be anything that's nationwide because our laws don't work like that. And you need general assemblies in every state to adopt something like this. And then you'd have, I mean, massive challenges to this. I mean, you'd have folks that are saying you have a constitutional right to this, similar to abortion.
Hmm.
And the courts, I would think this rendition of our Supreme Court, if this case came before it, would say, no, that you don't, that this is not a constitutionally protected activity, and that they would kick it to the states to make the decision. And that's why the states are making it.
All right. Yeah. I hate to end on the bad note here, talking about such a morbid topic or somber topic, but it is something that legally has some issues that are going on right now. But Khalif, go out and live your best life as we have this
That's
week.
the
And
goal.
that is the goal. So everyone out there as well, if you're watching Order in the Court with Khalif and Brien, go out and live your best life today. We appreciate you watching.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.